Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name El Sabot, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all with 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another Baby Berg episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 296, recorded on Sunday, December 6th, 2020. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Possessor from 2020. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got our boy, Randy Gandy G. Landy. What's up, man?
Hello, gentlemen.
Oh man, I'm a little lightheaded right now.
Yeah,
there's
what's going on?
Yeah, there's a gentleman revving his engine repeatedly in the alley directly outside the window I'm facing. So I am getting a lot of exhaust fumes in my face.
That's not
this is
an
gonna
electric.
be a fun, huh?
It's not an electric vehicle.
No,
Interesting.
no. I'm a little loopy right now, but I definitely smelled some fumes that do not come out of electrical fields. Come on, Bob. What
Washington, D.C. I figured everyone had a fucking Prius. You know, I don't know what the deal is.
Don't push your religion on me, Rob. Okay, all right. Take your transformers and your power grid somewhere else. All right.
All right. Haters. Damn. All right. Last but not least, calling in from Southern Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
What up? It's your boy Cronenberg Stains. I'm looking a little like the old Rick and Morty Cronenbergs from their Cronenberg episode this morning.
Cronenberg stains would be probably the worst stains you could find.
It's blood. It's just blood.
I love
blood
that
and viscera.
episode where they just, I messed up, morning.
Cronenberg.
We got a bunch of Cronenbergs.
Yeah. It's a very classic moment.
That shit cracks me up.
Yeah.
Old Cronenberg Stains, I could fit in.
It's a Canadian
That's
stain.
a hell of a stain.
It's maple syrup. That's what it is. It's you spill your
Maple
poutine
syrup
gravy
and,
on your pants.
I don't know. What sport do they play in Canada? Ice hockey? It's a hockey and maple syrup kind of day.
Do they
Bear wrestling, I believe.
Yeah, bear baiting, yeah.
Sorry,
Bear baiting,
Canada.
Damn, sounds like
Sorry.
a hot Friday night.
Doesn't it? Don't cue me up, Bish. It comes organic or nothing.
I'd bait you, Randy. I'd bait you all Friday night. Before we get into the review, let's go ahead and tackle some housekeeping real quick. Over on our Patreon website, our December poll pick has officially closed. The theme for December was Santa Chaos Goes Global, and the winner is Rare Exports. I know. What a shocker. Who could have seen it coming? Nobody.
Bob, that means we should have a new poll pickup. Ooh, what are we talking about next month?
Ooh,
That's-
all right. Oh.
That's exactly what that means, Juice. Our January poll pick is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this January. The theme for January, which is something we've done the past couple years. We've had a lot of fun with it, so we're going to do it again, is Re-Review Redemption. So what happens here is we're going to pick 3 movies that we have already reviewed. We think that maybe the scores were a little bit unjust, so we want a chance to reconsider those movies. So the 3 that you're going to vote between for January are going to be Insidious, Reanimator, and Sleepaway Camp.
Whoa, Bob, how are those numbers looking so far?
Dude, it's like neck and neck and neck, which is...
Dude, that's a
Wow,
hot
3 necks?
There's so many necks. It's
How many
necking?
heads? How many dicks?
mostly dicks. It's all dicks, really.
Dude, that's a hot lineup.
It is. They're all bangers. Sleepaway Camp is like 5 votes deep. Insidious is 7 votes deep. Reanimator's 8 votes deep. So it's like it could really go anyway.
Okay.
A lot of votes left to come. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on.
Might have to do all 3.
Might have to do a triple feature.
We typically try to pick movies that are like below, I don't know, episode 80 or something like that, you know, before
the first 62.
We kind of hopped over to the new film.
Before we came to Jesus and discovered people actually were listening to us.
We should
the
do
dark
better.
years.
Yeah. Why? Because we should really try.
It's so funny because I was like listening to the Horrorphoria podcast and they're on episode like 88. And I was like, God, you guys have already done significantly better than we were at this point. So you're on track. Don't worry about it.
See, the trouble that we ran into was not standing on the shoulders of the giants that were already in existence then. We did not take any cues from any existing podcast. Yeah, we just like hard line paved that road ourselves.
No
That
favors
is not
needed.
bragging, by the way. That was a mistake.
It was a hard road.
That's a hard road.
Not recommended.
Make sure you get your votes in before the end of December, and we'll see what movie we're going to be talking about January 2021. In other Patreon news, we did drop a brand new mini cast. So if you support us at the $10 level or above on Patreon, you get access to exclusive audio content that we post monthly over on Patreon. We're up to like 27 episodes so far. Juice, you reviewed a Netflix show. What were you talking about?
Yeah, I did my newest mini review was on that Blood of Zeus, which is that animated show. It's pretty short. It's only like 7 or 8 episodes, but it follows in the same line of that Castlevania show, where it's very like adult oriented, very bloody and gory. But this one focuses on like Greek mythology instead of on like vampires and stuff like that. So it was a pretty solid show. If you enjoyed the Dracula or the Castlevania miniseries that was on
Netflix.
Thank you. Oh my God, somebody's banging in my backyard.
Damn.
Let me know when they jizz.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed that, it was from, I talk about it in the mini episode, but it's from the same studio. So the animation looks the same, but the directors and writers are different. So it does have its own flavor for sure, but it follows the same animation style, which I really enjoy. And it's bloody and gory as fuck. They love chopping people in half in that show. So you see a lot of entrails. Like that's just like
They're going to beat the ass off of your body.
Yes. So, and it's going to be hanging off too. So you're
Just hanging by a thread, hanging by sinew. I have a question. What is the name of this again? It's
Blood of Zeus.
Blood of. Every time that I hear that, it's like I'm hearing it for the first time for some reason. But also every time I hear it as if Ron Burgundy was screaming it.
Okay.
Well, I just felt like it just laughed to myself. I felt like that was worth bringing up for some reason.
Yeah.
This is why we're professionals. This
So
is
that,
yeah, why people listen to us.
So if you are hard with us, that is something you can check out on the old Patreon $10 level.
For sure. Also,
Blood of Zeus.
if you do subscribe to us at the $10 level or above, all those bonus episodes go straight to your podcatcher of choice. So you don't have to listen to them only on Patreon, which is pretty cool.
Whoa.
That's all the Patreon news. I know, Juice, you recently did a feature on Horrorphoria, correct?
I did. Yeah. So if you want a little double shot of soju, you can check out the latest episode of Horrorphoria. And we talked about Silent Night, Deadly Night, Deuce. So it's for the Christmas season. So go ahead and check that out before December wraps up or before Christmas hits us. So yeah, we talked about that. And let me tell you, there was Mr. Hotcakes was featured on that episode because there were some hot takes.
Can confirm. I was flabbergasted.
It was good discussion, though. I thought it was a really good discussion about.
Boy, I got to hear this.
Yeah. So there were some. Yeah, old Mr. Hotcakes. He was chiming in.
Was it your hotcakes or was it?
It
someone
wasn't.
else's hotcakes?
It wasn't. Yeah.
Interesting.
It wasn't my hotcake.
Old Andy Hotcakes himself.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to decide which way this is going to go. Was the hot take that it was good or that it was bad? Or
Randy,
what do you
you'll just
think?
have
What
to
is
check it.
I don't know. It's a beloved film. Everyone loves it.
Fact.
Yeah, it was a good discussion though. So if you enjoy Christmas horror, and if you're a fan of the franchise of Silent Night, Deadly Night, we do go into a good discussion of like the first one too, because the fucking second one features half the first one anyway. So yeah, it was good. I really enjoy, always talking with those guys. And I thought that was a particularly good discussion about interesting film that kind of has people divided, I think, a little bit. So yeah.
You celebrate Garbage Day. This is the film for you. I'm a devout garbage man.
Old Ricky does not skip eyebrows day.
No.
That's our on fucking point, dude.
His forehead must be burning at the end of every day.
He put in work for sure. But yeah, so that was, I think that's all my housekeeping, I believe. Mini episode and feature episode. Yeah. Bob, got anything else?
I think I'm good. Randy, you got anything?
I keep them close to the chest, baby. My shit doesn't drop until you are immersed in it.
True.
I do have one more announcement. Damn. I do, because our last episode was right before the new month. So, of course, last Tuesday was December 1st, and that means it was a new Top 5 Tuesday where we drop a Top 5 list on our YouTube channel. So if you are interested in some Christmas horror films, if you want to get into the season and you need some suggestions, check us out at youtube.com/Straight Chilling Podcast. And there you will find a Top 5 list of Christmas horror films. So maybe you'll find something new. Maybe you'll get reminded of some solid gold for the old Christmas horror. But yeah, check that out if you're interested in some holiday gore.
Santa Jaws better be on that list.
Oh, it's top of the list. Number one.
Number one. For sure. Cool.
Had a dirty house this week.
Yeah. It's clean now.
Clean that
house is clean. Let's go ahead and jump into the main event. We're talking about Possessor, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Yeah.
Ooh, Bobby, you got a box for this one or no? It's pretty new.
Nah, because the box comes out on Tuesday. Will I have it on Tuesday? Oh. Yes, I will.
Oh, man. Will you have one in your anal cavity? Of course.
4K straight to the anus. Yeah.
It's Blues Day. Straight to the anus. It's the quickest way to the bloodstream.
Daddy needs a new blue. Got to butt chug that blue. So this is Possessor. It's a new movie from 2020. It is the latest and greatest.
That. Thank you.
I'm glad you did.
That's the newest clip Randy needs to pull
I might
out
need to do that. Yeah. Note to self.
Butt chug blues. This is the latest film from Brandon Cronenberg, who is the son of David Cronenberg. This is starring Andrea Riseborough, Christopher Abbott, Jennifer Jason Leigh. Brandon Cronenberg also wrote this. The theme, it's got like, I don't know, it reminds me a bit of like David Cronenberg, but a little bit like new agey, I guess, like a little bit like it's got a spit shine to it, I guess. I don't know.
They use gemstones for healing or something.
They do. It's very, very new agey. Crystals are involved. That's not true.
Salt caves. Let's do it.
The synopsis, as presented by IMDb, is as follows. Possessor follows an agent who works for a secretive organization that uses brain-implant technology to inhabit other people's bodies, ultimately driving them to commit assassinations for high-paying clients. General Mangs, had you seen this movie before? Would you recommend people check it out? Randy?
No, I have not seen this new movie before.
Get out of town.
No, this is it's my first time. I actually went in blind. I knew it was a Cronenberg flick, so to speak. But I honestly, like, Antiviral was his first film, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And that's like, I know I've watched that, but I don't remember much about it. So I was going in pretty fucking blind. I would say, yes, this is worth a watch, especially if you are into this sort of, say like, Alex Garland style, like sci-fi horror sort of stuff. This has deep connections to things like, Annihilation and shit like that. So if you were into that, watch this movie for sure. And otherwise, I still think it's a pretty good watch. It is pretty graphic though. A feature, not a family feature, but it's a good movie to watch.
True. Juice.
I wasn't too familiar with this. It's the first time watching it, and I don't know how familiar I am with Brandon Cronenberg's work, to be honest. I don't know if I've seen Antiviral. I don't think I have Antiviral, and I don't know what else he's done, but
that's it.
Okay. Oh, that's it. So this is second. Okay. So I was pretty intrigued by this movie. It more reminded me, I definitely got some Annihilation vibes that Randy did there. So like one particular scene that kind of reminded me, but also it kind of reminded me of Ex Machina. So it's this kind of technological, psychological kind of thriller, but it's got some gory, disturbing moments too. So I feel like when people hear the word thriller, they try to detach it from horror like pretty hard. Like there's this line where they're like, "Oh, it's not horror," but
nobody knows what that line is.
Yeah, exactly. So I always like to preface by saying there are some moments that get disturbing and are very bizarre and strange and horrific in a lot of ways. So it definitely fits in the realm here, but of horror. So I enjoyed it and I would recommend. It's I like that blend of kind of new sci-fi horror with things like Ex Machina that deal with the idea of like kind of technology that doesn't seem so far out of grasp, but is like futuristic feeling. I would recommend.
It's the Alex Garland aesthetic.
Yeah. Bob, I think you had seen this before. Did you watch it again for the cast?
Yeah, I rewatched it. Yeah, I like it, man. Like you, Juice, I had not seen Antiviral, and I didn't realize that Antiviral came out in 2012, so it's been a solid 8 years since he'd made a feature. He's made several shorts in between those two movies, though, but for some reason, I guess he just couldn't get a feature off the ground. I've heard mixed reviews about Antiviral, like it's a cool idea, but maybe it wasn't totally fleshed out, probably due to budget, if I had to guess. But this feels fully realized, dare I say. I know, gasp. I dig it though.
We'll see.
I think I enjoyed it even more on the second go round. I picked up a couple little like nuances that I missed the first time I watched it, and it just felt like it felt like a tight little movie, man. I dig the futuristic aspects of it. There's a lot of cool practical stuff happening, and there's a lot of like crazy lighting and like cinematography that was all done like in real time. As far as I understand, there's hardly anything done in post in this movie, which I always appreciate. Takes a lot of planning. Yeah. It's visually stunning, and the performances are solid. Definitely recommend checking it out. So yeah. There you go. Pretty decent recommend from the Straight Chilling crew. If you haven't seen this movie, go ahead and slam your eyeballs into it. It's on VOD everywhere. It's on Blu-ray and 4K this Tuesday. Pretty easy to find. Let's go and drop that spoiler warning and get into the rest of the movie.
Spoiler warning.
Boom. You've been warned.
Bob, you got this plot synopsis?
Got it.
Plop it.
Is it long? Yes, and I'm sorry. I'll read very fast.
read it like a fucking a dude at an auctioneer.
All right.
Oh, we got one.
Read it like you're the guy who.
We get two Cronenberg, and we got another.
Read it like the voiceover at the end of a Budweiser commercial.
Don't drink me. Done. So here's the full synopsis for Possessor. The film is set in the near future where a main character, Tasia Vaz, is working for a company that uses her as a kind of futuristic assassin. The company's developed a means for implanting her consciousness into another person so that she can use their body against their will to assassinate whomever they are paid to kill. After the hit is completed, she's supposed to commit suicide, thus ending her link with the host's body and framing the host as a murderer, leaving zero suspicion of foul play. The movie opens up with Tasia assassinating a lawyer and taking great joy in the process, even playing with the blood a little bit. However, she is unable to kill herself after the hit is completed and the police kill her. She then wakes up in her own body and answers a series of questions asked her by her boss, Girder. They do this to make sure she's wholly back in her body and knows who she is. Girder shows her a framed butterfly, to which Tasia replies that she remembers killing it when she was a little girl, and she's always felt bad about having done so, which sort of helps confirm that, yes, she's back in her body. She knows who she is. She knows where she is. Tasia also mentions she'd like to take some time off of work and spend it with her husband Michael and her child Ira. Her boss Girder then reminds her that she's no longer with Michael. Tasia then goes to have dinner with Michael and her son Ira, and it seems as though she's having great difficulty just being herself. Her and Michael eventually have sex, and she just envisions murdering the lawyer while they're doing so. The next day she goes right back to Girder and says she's ready for more work. Girder then explains the next hit, in which she will sync with her new host by the name of Colin Tate, who has no family. He's an ex-coke dealer, and he has since fallen in love with one of his wealthy clients by the name of Ava Parse, and she is the daughter of John Parse, who is the CEO of Zoothru, which is a large data mining company. They're being hired by Reed Parse, who is John's stepson, who ultimately wants Tasia to kill Ava and John so he can then assume control of the company. Tasia syncs with Colin's body and begins having difficulty maintaining control of the body. She passes out, ultimately does not tell her employer about the issues that she is having. She goes to a big party hosted by John Parse and causes a scene where she punches him out publicly. Gets kicked out of the party, sneaks back into the house after everybody's left the party, and she brutally murders John with a fire poker. She also shoots and kills Ava, tries to commit suicide, but yet again cannot pull the trigger. At this point, it seems as though Colin is taking control of his body back, and he tries to carve the implant out of his brain with a shard of glass. Colin then hides out at a friend's house. Eddie, who is also an employee of the company, shows up and helps Tasia take control of the body back. However, it doesn't fully work, and Colin ends up killing Eddie. Colin also gets these like flashes into Tasia's life, and he finds out where Michael and Ira live. Colin shows up at Michael's house, holds him at gunpoint, and is demanding to know where Tasia is. Michael has no idea, though. Tasia and Colin end up having a conversation like inside Colin's mind, and it seems like Tasia is basically indifferent at this point as to whether or not Michael lives or dies. Michael grabs the gun and shoots Colin. Colin then responds by brutally murdering Michael with a meat cleaver, much the same way the lawyer and John Parse were killed, which kind of alludes to the idea that perhaps Tasia just killed him and not not Colin. Ira then comes up out of nowhere and stabs Colin in the neck. We then get a flash of Tasia in Colin's body screaming and shooting her son several times. Tasia wakes up in her own body, laying next to Girder, who has also just woken up. Turns out Girder's host was Ira, the little boy, which is pretty fucked up. Girder asks Tasia the same questions that she did at the beginning of the movie and shows her the little butterfly again. And Tasia replies that she remembers killing the butterfly when she was a little girl, but this time does not mention regretting it at all. And that is the plot of the movie.
Ooh, okay. That's something I didn't quite understand. And I'm glad you read that plot synopsis because I didn't understand when her boss woke up at the end what that was supposed to imply. So you're saying that how do you know that she took over the son? Because she stabbed him?
Well, she took over somebody because she was in that position.
Yeah, that's the only person I was just confused. Okay, I was confused about who she took over because in the process of taking over somebody, we've seen that it's not like you just hop in. They have to like surgically implant this thing in your mind.
That's like a whole thing. Is like what was her like what was her end game? To me, it seems like what's being implied there is that this whole thing that's happened was on one level or another planned by Jennifer Jason Leigh's character in order to remove the thread to her former life and make her the perfect killing machine.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, man. Yeah, that's a lot. Ooh, we got to talk about this movie.
There's definitely breadcrumbs throughout the movie where Gerder is talking to Tasya, like at the very beginning where she's like saying she wants to spend time with her husband, Michael. And she says like, you're not actually with your husband anymore, which we're not 100% sure like how completely true that is.
She could just
be like gaslighting her and making her believe as such. And also towards the end, she's also saying like, you have like a thread connected to your family that's very clear, and it only takes one thread to make this whole thing fall apart. And she's like, we've been grooming you to basically replace me, and you can't have that, which is why I think ultimately she does end up taking control of Colin's body and just straight up murdering Michael in the end of the movie.
I think like, man, this whole movie is like one of the central things about this. It's focused on who you are, like it's another movie that focuses on you as an individual. Like we talked about Seconds recently, identity, and that's why like this movie has an insanely strong connection to Annihilation to me, because it's dealing with themes that movie also directly dealt with. And crazy enough, fucking the character of Ventress is in this movie. Jennifer Jason Leigh is basically the same character in this movie as she was in Annihilation. The cinematography style is pretty similar, I would say. I think that there's a lot of cribbing going on from that stuff, if I'm being perfectly honest. I don't know, like, not to say that it's like fully derivative, but it's not fully unique after like Garland's put out like at least 3 solid films of his own that show devs. Like they're all a very specific style. Like you guys brought up, he did Ex Machina, he did Annihilation, he did devs. Like that's the style that this movie has, except it's got a little Cronenberg body horror thrown in. It's got a little DNA from old Cronin.
Old Daddy
and the fact
Berg.
that we mentioned, that we both felt that, but from different movies, I think is a sign that like,
Becky also was watching this and said Ex Machina as well. She's like, oh, this is like Ex Machina. So I think it's pretty clear that there's a connective tissue there, but also like even going beyond that is like what brought me to this was the theme of your identity, and specifically like Annihilation dealt very specifically with the idea of destruction of the identity and rebirth of the identity. The Ship of Theseus idea. You guys are familiar with that, right? Ship of Theseus idea.
Explain.
Okay. No. Well, this is like well read. I'm believe me, that's not true. I watch YouTube. Ship of Theseus, and I'm definitely gonna get something wrong about this, so I'm going to just put it in terms that we can all understand as best I can. So imagine you own a Sea-Doo. I know it's a fantasy for you, Rob.
That's what imagine.
Could you ever even imagine doing that?
So imagine that you own a Sea-Doo, and one day your motor craps out and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? I guess I got to go get a replacement motor and install it. So you do that. The next week, your fucking handle brakes fuck up and you have to go get a new brake. And then this keeps going and going and going. Eventually, nothing on your Sea-Doo is the original part. So is that your Sea-Doo? Your original Sea-Doo, or is it a new object that you own?
I see.
So the same thing happens with human bodies. I think it's like every 7 years, all your cells are replaced with new cells. And it's like, it's a theological question. I think either Plato or Socrates or one of those fucking diddlers.
One of them Greek diddlers.
One of them Greek diddlers came up with this idea, and it's a philosophical idea that I think that that movie deals with very specifically. This movie does too, but it's less focused. It's really more broadly scattershot, I think, about what it's talking about. It's talking about not really necessarily destruction of self, but what it takes to, like, what is the absolute core of a person. And I think that it's making the case, or at least for this character, the lead character of Voss. Is it Voss or Toss?
It's Voss.
Yeah, the name was weird.
Tasya Voss is the name.
Yeah, it's an unusual name. Okay, so Toss. So Toss is like this character.
Yeah, Tasya is the first name. Voss is the last name.
So let's just say Voss.
Toss Voss. So Toss Voss, she's not. I lost my train of thought a little bit, but she's not just dealing with like destruction of self. Her core, I think they're making this argument that her core is survival, and that would be theoretically the core of all people, because when it comes right down to it, like the only thing that's left of her at the end of this movie, she has no more regrets. That whole thing with her looking at a butterfly that she killed as a child at the beginning, it's like a part of a test to see if her brain's okay after doing this. And she's like, oh yeah, I killed this and stuff and put it behind glass as a child and I still regret it. And at the end of the movie, they have the same conversation, but she doesn't say she regrets it. So the idea of care for other lives is completely eliminated.
It's gone. Yeah.
So like that was kind of like the moment of like
a lot of these films do have that moment where something happens at the beginning and then at the very end of it, it's switched. Like it's the same thing happened in Annihilation where they like drink the water and like there's a couple different things that happen at the very beginning and then something different happens.
Yeah, they resonate.
So this was that. Yeah, this was that moment.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. That's George Lucas would say.
So this movie, I need to think about more and I want to have the discussion because a lot of it was confusing. And I do think Bob had mentioned that maybe this one was a little more realized than his previous film, Cronenberg. And I felt like when I was watching this, that actually that wasn't completely the case. Now, I haven't seen Antiviral, so it's hard for me to comment on that. But there were moments in this where I thought maybe there's a little more style than like I felt like I wanted a little more substance because I kept thinking of ways that this movie, just little tweaks I thought could improve this movie. But I also was confused by a couple of things. Like I didn't quite realize when that woman woke up at the end, like what she was doing. I couldn't tell if she was trying to take over the mind of Tate, if she was also trying to enter as a third person. That was my first guess. And so some things weren't clear, but I thought one thing that could have been cooler or maybe more realized was one of the aspects that I liked about this was the struggle between the host consciousness of Tate and the intruder, boss. Yeah, because we have this really cool scene where they fight it out, and this is where it became really disturbing, where he like essentially crushes her and wears her face. That was a really fucking cool scene.
Yes, great.
But
great mask.
That was gnarly, man. That mask, it makes a great poster too.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah, I love that whole scene, and that was another one that reminded me of Annihilation because it was a big musical connection. Like I know there's a big musical scene in Annihilation where she's fighting with the alien. It's got this crazy soundtrack behind it. This was kind of that moment for me too, where he's wearing the mask inside the consciousness, where essentially what he does is he crushes her in their mind and wears her face, showing like he has taken over the body, but he's inhabiting like some of her habits. But see, what I thought would have been a little bit cooler and what I thought he was going with, and maybe he hinted at a little bit, was Tate. It seems like Tate is able to kind of take control when there's some kind of sexual connection. And I think one of the strong points about that is it seems like his sexual life is tied also with violence because like they do this kind of like choking thing, which also comes up in his sex life when he's having sex with his girlfriend, when it's actually Voss though. But I thought it would be cool to explore the idea of like, you think you're going into the mind of this innocent person, but actually in their own mind, they're kind of a psychopath. Like,
I thought about something like that too.
More disturbed than you actually realized they were. And because that personality is so strong and disturbed, they're able to take over your personality. But they didn't really explore that because, and I think that would have made it more interesting about who kills who. But when he comes into consciousness, like when he's actually talking out his own mouth, they don't play that up enough. It makes him feel like he's still an innocent. Like, oh my God, Eddie, what are you doing here? What's going on? Like, blah, blah, blah. It just makes him seem really confused, where when they dive into their mind, it makes him seem more disturbed and more of this like darker character. And I felt like that was a miss. And I was really disappointed with it, to be honest. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I like that idea.
Sorry. Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. And I had that thought about like, what if you go into somebody whose mind is not functioning the way that a normal mind does. Not just necessarily if they're a psychopath, but like if they're mentally ill, like and they just like if they hear voices, are you going to hear voices? Like what's going to happen?
Or even the effect of drugs, because that's a big thing. Is they're going into this known drug dealer and they are like sniffing coke, but that's not something they explore either. I thought the drugs were going to affect it in some way, but they don't imply that it does. And I was like, man, I feel like these are pretty strong misses.
Yeah, that could have added something to the story, but it also, at that point, I don't know that it would really be like Tasia's story anymore. It'd be Colin's. You'd have to like really pivot the whole plot to make that land, I think. I mean, it's really about like Tasia coming undone. Like she seems to be like being halfway manipulated by her boss, but she also seems to be like generally somewhat psychopathic and that she truly enjoys murdering people like with glee.
Yeah, she's broken at the beginning of this movie.
She always has a pistol with her and never uses it to kill people. She just like slaughters them brutally with a knife or a fire poker or whatever's laying around.
Going to the idea of sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
And that goes again to the idea of identity and like who you are. Like she's been doing this for presumably a while. It's implied for quite a while, and that's why she left her husband and son. It's I think outright stated. And when she goes to visit her husband and son, she has to like practice how to speak to them. Like she's sitting outside for like an hour or some shit, pretending to say, "Oh, I'm famished. Can we eat?"
Basic
and shit like that. Yeah. She's lost a lot of like whatever humanity was there by doing this and by keeping this secret. But also, like by the end of the movie, it becomes kind of clear that whatever feelings she had towards her family, or at least her husband, doesn't exist anymore. Like that's the thread. It's the idea of this is who I am as a human. So like by cutting that cord, Ventress or whatever Jennifer Jason Leigh's character's name is, she effectively like removes her ability that removes the nugget, the strand that she was talking about, and makes it so that she doesn't have anything that she's pretending to care about. The only thing she cares about is the job at hand, and she can fully immerse herself into a person and be a perfect assassin in that way.
I think the movie is sort of ham-fistedly summed up towards the end, where Colin is going on about this whole like cat poop parasite that gets into somebody's brain and plants an idea or whatever.
Yeah,
I did not like that.
I didn't either.
I kind of did, but so what that actually is that he's talking about is something that's called toxoplasmosis, which apparently is an actual parasite that you can get from like infected cat feces, or also just by eating like raw meat and some other stuff. And most like healthy people don't actually show any sort of symptoms, but there are some symptoms involved, like, you know, your body aches, headache, fever, fatigue, seizures, confusion, etc., etc. But there's nothing that I've found that says like you can just start like hallucinating or like get some sort of worm in your brain. But I think what he's trying to say, the point he's trying to make, is that like this worm of an idea was implanted in her brain by Girder, via like manipulation and like suggesting like, hey, maybe you should leave your family behind. Maybe you are now a danger to your family because you are this incredibly like gifted assassin, and it turns out you really like it and you're good at it. And this sort of like separates her from her family and maybe leads her down the wrong path, and she becomes somebody else. It's just sort of like ham-fistedly presented in this like cat poop parasite thing.
See, I agree.
Oh man,
I agree with that part. I think like this, it really reeks of like, I learned something on Twitter today, and I feel like I need to write it into my movie.
kind of. Because
you know, I mean, I understand
anything else except that like because then he's explaining it like it's a perspective of Voss, like, oh, are you the woman you're married to? Is she infected? But it was like seemed like it was supposed to also be self-reflective, because he's like, I've got something in my brain who is killing people. And so I was like, it dilutes itself in that point, because you're like, well, who's speaking and what point are they trying to make? Because at this point he's talking to the husband, and you're like, well, okay, but is this self-reflective, or why is he talking about Voss? I don't know. It just seemed,
I think he was talking to Tas Voss, but she was in hiding in the brain. And the thing is, like, I don't know, you could parse it a few different ways, but the real issue is that like that's a kind of monologue that you would expect, not even monologue, but like detail. The thing about cat poop, like that's just not a very becoming start to your allegory for starters. But like that's the sort of comment that you might see like in another movie, like spoken in the background of a classroom scene while kids, like, you know, I mean, like that's something you like, and you've seen it done that ham-fisted way a million times, but in this case, it's not any less ham-fisted the way they do it, because it's using a very unbecoming allegory that's sort of like undercuts the seriousness, the tension of the moment a little bit, and B, is not very clearly stated, which is a problem throughout this movie. Like I know they're going for obliqueness in some sense, but to some extent, it's just confusing. And I know that there's some like value to that story-wise, but there's also like a few moments where it's like a little too disorienting, and then they do something like mention cat poop, and it's like all bets are off at that point as an attention from my attention's point of view. I like in that scene at the end where, you know, he's sort of like threatening to kill Michael, Colin is, and he demands that Tasia like come out, and she does, and they have this conversation inside Colin's brain, and the way it's shot is like it's very close to their faces, but most of it's sort of out of focus, and you don't see their mouths move, and they're both whispering, so it's very difficult to decipher like who is speaking when. And they kind of play with that idea throughout the rest of the movie too, because there are certain times where like Colin is speaking, but you hear his voice and it's layered with Tasia's voice too. You hear them both speaking the same words at the same time. And they do that because she's speaking. They do that because she's speaking in reality. Yeah. And then by doing that, his voice is also moving. That's him.
And when in reality, you mean like in her, it shows scenes of where she's laying in her bed, like in the lab. Mm-hmm. And whenever she does speak in Colin's body, it's reflected in her. In her. But then when he takes over, it reverses because he starts practicing lines of dialogue like she did before meeting his family, and she starts repeating it, or at least that's how it read to me. I kind of like how they play with that to some extent, but it gets to be pretty confusing, and I think the cat poop thing really lost me because I mean, there's definitely another allegory you could make out there. There's definitely another simile you can make to the situation that doesn't involve feces. That's really or cats. Like it's just a little. Yeah, I don't know. And I've heard about that before. Obviously. Like there might be a very extreme case where like some person was like extremely affected in like their worldview or perception or something from this like ridiculous parasite. But that's not like a common thing, and to like really make that your central metaphor is kind of weird. I don't know, man. It's like anything. Like a metaphor doesn't have to be one-to-one. Like it's like I can't like the Sea-Doo, the ship of Theseus, like that's a ship, but then a human body's a human body. It's the same. It's conveying the same idea though, which is what they're trying to do here. And I think there's some interesting thoughts about like, okay, and on the one hand, you've got Tate, who's been infected by the murderous Tasvas, and then you've got Tasvas, who's been invaded by the murder. Her mind's been infiltrated by the murderous Girder. You know, I mean, like the idea of having ideas implanted in your head, what makes you, what decisions are you actually making? And the decision that you are ultimately making, or she is, Tasvas, is and Tate actually, is the decision to keep living. See, I think they could have easily done that same thing without the cat poop thing. I thought like you could easily just say like, you wake up and to find out that your wife has been hiding the fact that she has like a brain tumor or something, and it's like pressing on her brain. Are you married to? Is that your wife or something? It's kind of the same idea of like. It's like trying to excuse, and this is part of the problem I had, because we were talking about, you know, and Rob even said this is the journey of Boss. So if you explore the idea of Tate, you know, does that take away from the story of Boss? And so the problem I have with that is it kind of does that in a cheap way. It's like now you start questioning like, okay, is there something wrong with Voss? Like, is this like some unconscious thing of like an excuse of why Voss is excusing like her behavior of just like slaughtering people? Like, no, I'm sick. Like, this isn't who I am, because that's kind of how it comes off. It's like, oh, your worm is, are you married to the wife? Or are you married to the worm? Like the worm is like controlling things. And it's like, okay, is that is that trying to make up for excuses of why Voss sees herself as so violent? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's the whole question, is whether or not, like, what your culpability is as a person when you do that. Like, that's the central thing, is like, what is Tate's culpability? Because the thing is, in this movie that was really interesting in terms of like the tech, the sci-fi aspect of it, was that it seems like, at least when it's functioning the way it's intended, that the person that is hosting you actually is experiencing what you're doing. Like they are living through it. And that's kind of like, this is kind of my theory about how this all went down is, so we start with this woman, Brooke or something, at the beginning as the intro. She's being possessed by Voss, and she stabs the shit as Voss. She stabs the shit out of her mark rather than shooting him. And then she says, "Pull me out," and holds the gun into her mouth. And then I think that person comes to there because she starts crying.
Yeah.
Voss is not emotionally
with
prepared
the
to
gun
do.
in her mouth. Yeah.
And then, but she chooses not to kill herself, but to like do death by cop because she's experienced it, and she can't explain why she did these things. She just knows that she did because she experienced it. And I think that's what's happening with Tate. But like they make a big point of like, you have to pull the trigger, and she doesn't. That's a tie to her humanity that they're trying to sever. So like, that's the whole point, is that she can't do that. So when she doesn't do that for Tate, he is also a person who lives and dies by survival. Like, he's a person who's willing to use people. He dates his daughter, the daughter of his boss, who's a huge piece of shit, in order to get like what's coming to him. He's doing coke. He's sleeping around on the side. He's a selfish man who's just doing whatever the fuck he wants to do in order to get ahead. So his survival instinct is then he looks around and sees what he's done to these people who he supposedly cares about, but he doesn't really care about them because survival and getting the next nugget is what he's all about. So her not killing him actually enables him to get his body back. Like her unwillingness to do that actually bites her in the ass and is what leads to all this happening.
I did not take her not shooting herself like as a choice. I saw that as the host like starting to take more control over their situation, and her like basically her losing control and her host taking control, not like a conscious decision like she's struggling to do so. I don't think she would have any fucking problem doing it if she just physically could do it. I think she's just losing control of her host.
Yeah, I guess that is one of the questions too. And
well, she's leading them to the water, but she's not drinking it herself.
Well, and this is where the story is muddy, and in some ways it's cool because you want to discuss it, but in other ways, I have problems with it because in that same thing, we're like, okay, who's taking over, the host? And we have shots where we see the psyche's battling inside the mind, which I do want to give credit. The way this dude shoots and comes up with ideas to show what's happening in somebody's mind were brilliant. I thought
the wax figures were great.
I mean, just even like he does this like side by side flip or whatever, or like even like hard cuts where it's like red and then it's normal in one scene. Just there's several different scenes where he's able to flip between like what's in a mind and what's, in reality or whatever. And it was brilliant. He did a great job with that. But I guess the idea of like, okay, they plan this idea. She's struggling to take control. And we see that in scenes. But even when he's like calling her out, like, I've got your husband here, you need to come the fuck out, I'm going to shoot him. Like, she has no problem like coming forth. And so in some ways I'm like, is she using this guy as an excuse to get rid of her family without having to do it herself? Is she like, how much is she there? How much control is she allowing to be taken over? Or is this guy really that strong in the mind? And I feel like they should have leaned one way or the other. If this guy's so strong that he's actually taken over, I feel like they should have connected that with the drugs or the fact that he's maybe an actual psychopath himself and stronger in his bloodlust or selfishness more so than her and is able to take over, or would have given a little bit like more like kind of sleight of hand deal to show like, oh no, Tate actually, use this as an excuse to let herself slip so that she wouldn't necessarily have to do these things herself, but still wanted them to happen. Like, so for instance, if we were saying like, okay, she didn't pull the trigger herself, is that like some weird form of like dark psychosis where she wants the person to experience, like, because she could just end it herself. And like, is she just making these people live this out as some kind of like dark psychotic thing? Like, no, I'm going to make you live with this death and I'm not going to do it. Or is she literally just losing control? And it's hard to tell. Like I don't think it's
hard to tell. I think it's intentional though. I think,
I think there's evidence that she's losing control specifically because like what I get from this movie is like she likes killing a lot. So she goes back and gets like a new job sooner than she should. But like there seems to be some sort of like rest period that's necessary like after you inhabit somebody's brain to like I don't know, just like get used to like being in your own body and like normalize in a way. And it seems as though she tries to take a break from it at the beginning of the movie and is like, you know what, fuck it, it's all I can think about. I'm gonna go back and do it again because I like to do it. And like, you know, she's struggling from the get-go when she inhabits Colin's body, but she keeps that from her employer because, you know, maybe if she said she was having a problem, they'd pull her out, and she just fucking likes to do it. So she's not giving herself that like rest period that's necessary, and because of that, she's like having more and more difficulty controlling her host. That's kind of how I read into it. I don't think Colin's real strong. I think she's just fucking herself over a little bit.
See, I think there's some truth. The thing is, like, the question that we're answering here, that Rob's answering and that Justin's asking, is kind of like it's one of the questions the movie is positing to us. So I don't think it's a mistake that they didn't lean one way or the other. I think it's an intentional choice to get us like wondering which way it is. So with that in mind, the alternative to that is I kind of see her Tosfos as Dennis Reynolds from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he tries to steal a man's identity and get off. He wants to get off. He wants you to get off by living in another man's skin. I'm serious. Yeah, it's like it's a thrill for her because she doesn't have any humanity left of her own except for the family that she's pretending to care about. Yeah, and that Ventress is trying to remove her from. So the reason she doesn't shoot herself or shoot the host, to me, and is instead like, well, when they see what they've done and they come, or when they're in control, they're going to want to kill themselves anyway because they're humans. So her doing that, I think, in my mind, is the reason she doesn't want to shoot herself is because, or shoot the host, is because the lines are blurred between her and the host because she has melded so fully with this person. She is so getting off on being this person, but she's also selfish and into survival for herself. So she is all about survival for herself. So she doesn't want to shoot herself on the head, even if it's not really her.
Yeah, it could be. She's having too much fun, maybe. Yeah, I guess that's
not even necessarily fun, but it's just like, this is just like, she doesn't care about other people, but she does care about number one. That's like, she's Dennis Reynolds. It's like she's a sociopath.
It always comes back to Sunny. Sorry, go ahead.
Always. Another idea,
because of the implication.
Another idea I kind of wish they played with was that, and I thought they were going to do it. See, there were these little nuggets where I was like, I think this is like what they're going to play with. And I was intrigued to see them. And I was kind of disappointed that they didn't, I guess. So in that very first scene, where she's like, pull me out, and she's going to shoot herself in the mouth. Okay. But she hesitates. And then the very next scene, we see the whole process where she gets pulled out and like she comes to, and she has like this boss who's like very invested in this. And she's talking about, her connection with the family. And she's kind of like gaslighting her a little bit, or it seems like she could be. And so there's this little nugget that's planted, like, okay, there's not complete trust here. There's not trust. So I like the idea of like, I don't want to shoot myself because I am completely dependent on these people very far away who I don't completely trust to pull my consciousness out of this body. And I have to depend on them to do that, or else I'm gonna die. So I like the idea. She's like, well, I'm not gonna shoot myself because this is like, I don't know if they're gonna actually pull me out. So where like once they actually do pull her out, she can't shoot herself anymore. So I like that idea of like a distrust as a reason to not shoot yourself.
That's a good thought.
But they didn't explore it, and I was kind of bummed about that.
Well, I mean, they definitely do explore distrust from Ventress, though. I mean, like, I keep calling her Ventress, and that's just going to keep going. So I'm sorry, but it's so similar. But like, she clearly doesn't actually care about Tosfos, because at one point she is told, or she's talking to one of the techs as Tassos is lying on the table, and she says, if she stays in, the longer she stays, the more risk it is to her brain. And she's like, she stays in. Like, she doesn't care. She definitely doesn't care. The only thing she cares about is her going through the fire of like this fight with Tate, an equally psychopathic being that she is trying to inhabit, and then their fight taking it to her home because he gets to see her experiences and knows where to go to find her people, and takes those people out, thus severing her last tie to humanity and allowing her to just fully revel in the bloodlust that she's basically been circling the drain on for years now, it seems like.
Yeah. I think Girder is just like power hungry and money hungry. She says several times that this is like a major hit and they can't afford any sort of error. They got to get it down. And essentially, like, once they kill everybody and then the dude that hired them takes control of Zuthru, the data mining company, they're then going to have so much dirt on him that they will essentially own Zuthru themselves, which is like, a Google or whatever.
It's worse than that. But
we didn't even talk about like that kind of thing.
That's also thematically appropriate, and it's like it's obviously it's sci-fi'd up a little bit, but data mining is a very real thing. People definitely track you, and they definitely and it's just to get in your head so they can predict what you will put your money on the table for next.
I liked just to kind of mention it.
That's the best case scenario.
So another thing that they hint at is that this is kind of a long job. Like, she's in this guy's mind for a long time, which the longer you stay in, like, the more dangerous it is and the harder it is to keep the connection. So she has to be in this guy's head for like 3 days, I think they said, to establish that he's unstable with the family and stuff. So she actually goes to this guy's job where he works at this company that they're trying to take over. And essentially he goes in and they give him an assignment for the day, and everybody has their own assignment. And they put on these like VR goggles, and they just go through everybody's personal videos. Essentially, they're spying on people through their phones or through their like webcams or whatever. And at one point they're like, you're on curtains today. And so he's just going through everybody's curtains to see like what they buy, and everybody's got their own assignment. So at one point they're all doing coke and hanging out after the fact. And the chick is like, I always like masturbate in front of my webcam. They know like what brand of dildo I like or whatever. And it's just like, that shit's so disturbing, but true. Like, people say that shit all that time of like, man, like, people, they're in my brain because I said something to like somebody one time, like, oh, I wish I could buy like a new dark chocolate or something. And then it like shows up in their feet. Yeah.
See, you want a new one. You don't want it breaking down.
And see how long it is before the ads start popping up for Sea-Doos.
Oh, dude. It's going to happen. It's going to happen immediately.
Hey, Siri, Sea-Doo me.
No, don't really do me. Hey, Juice, I can see your curtains right now. Let me see that vibrator.
They're sheer. Ooh.
What's your favorite brand of vibe, Juice? Let me see that. What you got?
Let me see
that
vibe. You like the pocket? You like the... Well, I don't know.
Keep going, Randy. Keep going.
That's the extent.
You like the little thing? The little
Randy said,
there's a little thing.
It's got, shut up.
Little things exist.
It's got a remote.
I'm showing my hand, says Randy.
What
was I going to say? Fuck. I lost it. Oh, yeah. But like the whole thing about data mining, like that's another level of getting in people's minds. Like that's like everything in this movie is about implanting ideas in people's minds, even to the point where what they're doing is essentially what we do every time we use CAPTCHA, which is identify where a crosswalk is so that you can log in. Like that's what that's for, is so that AI can then identify crosswalks. AI can then identify buses. They can identify things in your house and whatever, and then use that information to read what you're putting on socials and whatever else is, whatever you're putting out there, in order to predict your behavior. And then sell you shit and get your money.
It's time to burn it to the ground, people.
It's legitimately terrifying. And I don't know. That's what the show Devs is kind of about.
I like that broader idea for this movie. That's like far more interesting than like the more narrowed down, your wife has a worm in her brain. Like, I like that kind of taking a step back. And
if they had used that, if he had talked about that instead of the cat poop,
Sure.
Problem solved as far as I'm concerned.
But real quick, we need to go ahead and do a sponsorship plug. This is for your Pocket Vibe.
Sea-Doo brand Pocket Vibe.
See this new Sea-Doo Pocket Vibe that'll take you where you need to go.
You don't want to waste. That's
you really.
All right,
really don't want to waste your time with those Kawasaki vibes. They really just can't handle the job. They just can't get it done.
No.
Now back to the program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cat poop and whatnot. I don't know. Do you guys have anything else you want to touch on before we go ahead and rate this movie?
I think this is one of those kind of movies we could talk about for a long time.
Yeah. I want to pour one out yet again for Sean Bean. Man can't stay alive for shit.
Dude gets hired to die.
He does.
Man
He's such
can
a prick
actually.
in this movie.
Actually, I'm wrong. Actually, because he didn't technically die in this film.
Well,
that we
that's
see. Yeah.
that's a little unclear. I'm still not sure if that's necessarily true.
Actually, yeah, we get a scene of him alive, but we aren't really sure.
But it's in their mind. Yeah.
Whatever happened to him, it wasn't nice. It was fucking eyeball popping, teeth yanked out, like with a fucking fire poker.
Yeah, dude.
That was a rough scene. That was a rough scene.
That was body horror.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. That and the very first scene where the lawyer gets stabbed, and then the meat cleaver scene in the end, like those three were definitely the big ones. And then that like crazy fucking mask scene, which doesn't look real at all, but when he like kind of crushes Tasia's face.
Yeah, that was fucking cool.
That's all about the cinematography.
Yeah.
That was
done.
A great scene.
Yeah,
and I really loved the wax figures. They weren't viscerally creepy in the same way, but it's just if we're calling out things that we liked about cinematography, that is the
what wax figures are you talking about?
So like when you see them melting down and then like building up into the other person's face, or they do that thing where they play with frame rate and have like the water look like it's going backwards or look like it's standing still.
I see.
It was specifically the scene where Tasia's like getting implanted into Colin's brain, and then they show like her melting and forming into Colin in like wax
That's
figure.
right.
It's really
that was just such a cool fucking visual.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah. Good idea. So yeah, let's go ahead and rate this thing. Out of 5, Juice, why don't you kick us off? How do you feel about Possessor?
I was digging this movie pretty good. I was engaged the whole time, to the point where I kept checking the time and being like, oh, like this is only how much time is left, or that like I feel like I expected some things, and that was subverted a lot of times about pacing and about where the story was going. And for the most part, I dug on that because, you watch so many movies and you think you know where it's going or what's going on. And for the most part, I had to stay engaged and was engaged and intrigued by what was going on. I do have to give props that this film is well made. The cinematography was great. The special effects were really cool and unique in a lot of ways. I love the way he shot, again, the idea of like the psychosis or just like going into somebody's mind, wrestling with another personality. I thought that it was well done, and not only well done, but original, and just some great ideas to visualize that. I thought it was pretty brilliant, actually. So major props for that. This movie, I feel like, is very well made from a craft standpoint, of like music and cinematography and all that. Great vision on that point. Since he wrote this, I do think maybe it's clearer in his mind than he was able to get it out. Because I still think it's muddy, and I think it could have been. I think he has a clear idea in his mind. I just don't think it was fully realized, and I think there could have been some slight editing choices that would have made it stronger or even more interesting. And to a point, I think this movie has a slight case of like style over substance. It's not completely like all style and no substance, but I do think the style takes precedence, and it's okay because the style is really cool and well done. But I wish it was a little bit more balanced for me personally, because I think there were some great ideas there that could have been honed in with just a little bit of like self-reflection and editing. But overall, I thought this was a cool movie, and I thought that like I'm really intrigued about other, like I want to see him make some more stuff. I hope he kind of finds his own rhythm. The fact that we all, kind of thought that this was inspired by other, like Ex Machina and Annihilation. Like, I think that shines through a little too rough. I think he needs to hone it in a little bit more in his own style. But overall, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5.
All right. 4 from Juice. I'll slide into your DMs here real quick and offer my 2 cents.
Bomb.
Yo.
Possessor.
Out of 5.
Around here, that means big money.
Cronenberg. How you feeling?
Baby Berg. I enjoyed this movie. I really dig the themes that are going on here, even though it seems as though that they're not as crystal clear as I think they could be. But I like what he's getting at. I think the themes are really propped up by the excellent performances in this movie. Everybody seems to be like really on their A game, and that kind of pushes this movie over the edge for me. There's some like pretty great cinematography, and just knowing that everything was sort of done like, in real time makes it even more impressive. The practical effects that are there are extremely well done. That mask is haunting as fuck, and I love it. I kind of wish we had some more of it, honestly. Like, the last like third of the movie, the final act, if Colin was just wearing that mask, that I would have been down. I was a big fan of it. There's a lot, there's a lot to love in this movie, and honestly, the only real negative that I have is just like, like really landing the metaphor in that final like monologue. Like it just could have been written better. That's really kind of my only big complaint. So I'm going to echo Justin and give this a 4 out of 5. Randy, how you feel?
I feel good. Justin, I meant to ask you this. Does your 4 account for the Yabos? Does it account for the wiener?
I think they balance each other out. I think that's why I didn't include them. Yeah, normally you get a half star for the Yabo, should get the minus for the
That's
for the
not
wing, so.
fair, man. If you can't, I think if you're gonna get half star for the Yabos, you got to get a half star for the wiener too, and that's a full point. So it's 5.
No,
And also you get perfect film for juice.
That has never been a man's code.
Man's code.
Yeah, that's
I
not
always
fair.
subtract for the dong.
Not fair.
I think that's not my code. I would also say that there is a
fair.
full on frontal of both genders in this film, of male and female genitalia, to the point where I was like, holy shit. Like, there's the one scene where he's looking through the goggles at his job, data mining or whatever, and there's just full spread eagle woman on a bed. I'm like, oh my god. Like, I don't know. A little.
That's pretty surprising. Yeah,
it was just shocking. You just don't see that. Yeah, exactly.
Not in America, anyways.
Well, yeah, Korea's just lousy with bush.
Swimming in bush over here.
The phrase "lousy with bush" is ridiculous.
Well, we're just lousy with it, ain't we, boys?
That's another man. This episode is providing a lot of sound bombs for us for the future.
Yeah,
lousy
we're trying.
With Bush.
Getting lousy with Bush. Anyway,
the band,
the movie. Bush is a
the beer.
Glycerine.
Lousy with Bush Light.
There's a lot of Bush out there.
There is a lot of Bush. There's gardens of the stuff. Anyway. So yes, this movie I like this movie quite a bit. I think that like probably the biggest ding against it for me is that I really do feel like it's intentionally or not, it feels so much like an Alex Garland joint that it's kind of tough to ignore. I don't remember what Antiviral was like, if it was in the same vein or not. It seems like, and that's not to say that like nobody else can use this style or whatever. And he definitely adds some unique flares to it. The body horror, for one thing, is really amped up. He does a lot of really cool camera work that isn't necessarily like the slow still shot, which he does a lot. But I don't know. To me, it's not quite different enough considering the subject matter, especially considering the subject matter is so close to Annihilation, and it features one of the actresses from it. it's just a little much. Now, what I want to praise it for, though, he does a great job with having contrasting scenes or contrasting tones where, the highs, the action points of this movie seem so much more actiony because the lows are so calm and quiet.
Yeah.
The score is really subtle and unnerving the way that you want it to be. Again, similar to an Alex Garland thing, or even like some of David Lynch's work or something. There's some sort of like interesting things going on, maybe a little more digital than that. But things, the skewed camera angles of the cities and showing, like, I like that, like the practical effects of the wax figures and the mask. He just uses all this stuff really, really, really smart in really smart ways. And I think it's great. I think that the story, like Justin was saying, suffers a little bit. I don't think it's style over substance necessarily. I just think that the substance isn't laid out in such a way that it invites all the conversations as easily as it could. You know what I mean? I think he's aiming for the conversations we had, but it took some work to get there. Like some significant hurdles existed to where it felt almost more confusing than a parable. You know what I mean? Like Annihilation kind of suffered from that a little bit, but I would say it was a lot more focused because it was dealing specifically with the idea of destruction of the self and rebuilt and rebirth. In this movie, it's more broadly about what is the core of you. Is it your consciousness? Because apparently that's up for grabs with this new technology. Is it, or with, data mining, or with your boss getting in your head, or with your own proclivities. So, I mean, I think there's just a little more scattershot of a theme to try and nail down. So maybe it suffered because of that. Again, like it's just a little unfocused. It's a little inscrutable. But the good news is that this is a Cronenberg, and David Cronenberg also in his first several movies was a little unfocused, I would say. So, I mean, and I don't want to say that he's like, it's a 1-to-1 comparison, obviously, but if there is some genetic material going between these two guys that matters in the form of filmmaking, then maybe we got good things coming from this guy in the future as well. I see no reason not to think so based on this movie. It's a good movie. It just has a few setbacks. The cat poop thing, I will go to my grave thinking that was a dumb decision. You could have easily just talked about data mining. That's in the movie already.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that it's fucking great, but it's not perfect. And for me, it's going to be right in line with you guys, a 4.
Whoa, that's happened a couple times this year.
Yeah.
That's
a couple times this month, I think. Like, didn't it do one recently where we are all in agreement?
Maybe.
Perfect Blue, I think, was unanimous.
No, there's been a few.
Not Perfect Blue. No.
Okay.
We're close. The most recent one was Terrified. We all gave that a 3. That was 292.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's the most recent one.
One thing I want to mention real quick too is that they killed a kid in this movie.
Yeah,
and so we talked about the brutality of
on camera
of the fire poker, but they killed a kid and blew his head off. Yeah. I mean, that's not, we talk about dogs and kids are one things that you
still
have
taboo.
to be careful with. Yeah. And they just went for it. Yeah. And the full bush.
It was a mother shooting her child too, which makes it even worse.
Well, kind of.
So to speak. It was the actor it was not the actor who played her. So maybe it was dulled by that, but
no, it actually flashed and showed.
Oh no, you're right. It did.
Yeah, it did.
It showed her sitting there with the arm outstretched. That's true.
Ooh. That's
it's a brutal movie for sure. It's not the Sean Bean death was very brutal.
Yeah, that shit that'll linger. Yeah, you're gonna have to let that
one. You really chewed the scenery, so to speak.
And that's why I was careful. I was careful with the thriller tag because I mean the Sean Bean kill, and then the mask scene, and then the killing of a kid. Like all those things are pretty hardcore, even for like a horror film. So this definitely it's in the realm. It's just
for sure.
Yeah.
Genres are killing this medium, man. We got to stop.
Really,
I don't know,
tearing this country apart. Genres,
just ripping at its foundations.
All right, obviously,
who cares?
That's it. Our aggregate's going to be a 4 because duh. So let's go ahead and jump over into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Possessor.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, everybody, here's the Rotten Tomatoes segment. For newbies, how this works is I'm going to ask these two gentlemen to guess within the best of their ability between 0% and 100% what the aggregate score is for critics and users in terms of how many were positive on RottenTomatoes.com. So we're going to start with the critics score. There are 74 critics, enough to, I think that's, for a new movie, that's pretty okay. I honestly, I can never remember.
It's not terrible, yeah.
But yeah. So Bob, why don't we start with you? What do you think this movie got in terms of positive reviews, percentage-wise, from the critics?
I'm going to go with a 75%.
All right, 75% from Bob. Juice, what are you thinking about this?
It's got to be higher than that. I hope it's higher than that. So I'm going to go with the Project 86, please.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
I still can't remember any references to that band.
We'll get one.
One day I'll actually go back and listen so I can be like, hey, it's like that famous Project 86 song. Blah, 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 blah.
86 dudes.
Yep. 86 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Juice is going to take this one. He was pretty close. It was a 93% certified fresh.
Oh, Bob, can I get a hell yeah?
Never. You can't. You won't.
Bob's a sore loser. That's why I never get
that. That was simultaneously a burn on both of you. It was great.
True.
I always give Bob the hell ski.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't? Look at that face.
Hail!
All right. All right, let's go to the audience score to curtail this weird conversation.
Randy's a big old flirt. Sorry.
You know me. Mm-hmm. You know. Oh. Sorry, I got a weird thing on my... I got to pop up with vibes.
Did you get a Chatterbait invite, Randy?
So there are 58 verified ratings for the audience in this. Justin, let's start with you this time. Out of 100, what do you think?
I think it'll be slightly lower than the critics, but I still think it's going to be high. So I will go with an 80.
80. All right. Bobby, what are you thinking?
I'm going to $1 juice and go 81.
81. Mm-hmm. Bob, should have $1 the other direction, buddy. It's It's a juice win, and it's not a close one. 59%.
Oh, shit.
That's one of the bigger variances we've seen in a while.
True. Oh, my God. Damn. But can I get a hell yeah?
No. And it also isn't penetrating you. That's a bummer.
Take that as a hell yeet if you must.
That is a bummer.
Yeah, so I don't understand that personally. We are not men of the people at all this week.
No, not even
men of the critics. Well, kind of.
Close.
They like to way more than we
We've completed our transition to fart sniffing critics. That's where we are in life. I guess
people buy Sea-Doo vibes.
People really didn't care for this, and I gotta figure out why. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look at a negative review and see what that has to say at random. Here we go. There's a lot of positives here. Okay. The only way you would get me to sit through this again would be if somebody took possession of my body and made me do it. Wow.
It's not
Clever girl.
Screaming into a void. That's what that sounded like to me. Why? Don't make me watch this movie. Here's my clever retort. And send. Yeah, that was dumb. Yeah, that's all for Rotten Tomatoes. Fuck it. Right. We're not men of the people. The people hate us, and it's starting to be mutual.
Is there any trivia on this, Juice?
Yeah, and I was gonna do some from the old straight chillin' intern. I still don't know if we can give him credit.
Nice.
per name.
We should confirm these things.
We did confirm, and he said, please don't. So we'll just call him the intern.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Glad Bob is first.
Yeah, way to go, Bob. Yes. You really nailed that one.
Can we call him the intern? Or should I just take credit for everything?
Tell me the intern.
Yes.
What?
Yes, Bob. Yes.
Okay, let's talk some trivia.
It's totally time for trivia.
All right. Want to rush to that one.
Thanks.
So, according to some trivia, Cronenberg drew influence for Possessor from various pieces of media. Some film that influenced this film, Argento's Opera, 1987, a horror slasher film called Popcorn from 1991. Has anybody seen that?
Yeah.
Rob says yes.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see where the influence came from? Potentially?
Was it the butter flavor?
So, based on what I recall from that movie, absolutely not. But maybe I need to rewatch it.
And a movie called The Sorcerers from 1967. I've never seen any of these films, so I can't really comment on them.
We're terrible at this.
Cool.
Okay. Yes. So throughout the film, Voss comes into contact with consciousness, with the consciousness of Tate, and it's in the beginning stages. It's mainly during times when Colin is in a state of arousal, and that is something I mentioned. I wish they kind of played with that a little bit more, because they did kind of, take the time to show that the sex that he was normally involved in was maybe violent. So,
well, he's definitely either got an open relationship or some sort of side booty addiction going on too.
Yeah. Most of the special effects in this film were done practically, with an effort to use as little visual effects as possible. The VFX work as possible. The hallucination scenes effects in particular were done in camera. Cronenberg credits his effects specialists Dan Martin and Derek Lipscomb, and his longtime cinematographer Kareem Hussein for being able to pull off convincing visuals with minimum CGI. Okay, well,
he's got a little squad.
Nice.
I love it. I can't wait for him to make more movies. Like, I hope that this
me
seems to
too.
have garnered like a decent amount of attention, more so than Antiviral. So hopefully, like the next one, he'll get a solid budget and is gonna go fucking buck wild. We'll see.
Hopefully it's all up from here.
Yeah.
And I mean, it'd be fine if it stayed on the same level, personally.
True.
This is interesting trivia. Okay, so let me make sure. I'm going to read it. Brandon Cronenberg said he originally wrote a scene in which Voss has sex with the intention of showing Voss as having a penis, but he subsequently edited the script, knowing some actors would not feel comfortable with it. Upon casting Andrea, what's her name? Riseborough. The two had a conversation during which the actress, Andrea, suggested the idea of Voss having male genitalia, which delighted Cronenberg and made him feel like she was reading his mind. The scene was rewritten back to its original form, and what is seen on film is what Cronenberg intentionally envisioned. What?
Do you not remember that? Like, here, let me ask you guys this. I didn't meant to ask you this earlier. Did you guys watch the uncut version?
Yes.
See, I don't know.
If it didn't say uncut, it was probably not.
I'm not sure what it said, but go ahead and describe what you wanted to.
Well, I mean, the reason I ask is because, do you remember the scene? It sounds like you're confused about it.
I am confused about that last sentence. Was there a scene where she was having sex and she actually had a penis as a woman?
Yes.
Really?
Apparently.
When was it?
I didn't watch that. I guess this is.
Yeah, I didn't watch that either.
It was a quick shot. Maybe it's possible you missed it, but like
possibly
it was not that quick. Like, it was quick enough for me to be like, oh, okay.
So okay, well,
Tate was having sex with the daughter of the company or whatever in that blue room.
Yeah.
They have sex. It's pretty graphic.
Yeah.
And then at one point he leans back and it becomes her. It becomes Tasvas. And she's naked as well or whatever. And the other girl's knees are up, kind of blocking the connection between her body and what appears on the other side is a big dick. So it's like a blending of reality. So
I don't remember.
Non-flaccid dick.
It didn't stick out to me at that point, but I remember that scene where they're having sex, because that's where like she starts choking, like the choking is going on. Mm-hmm. So
same scene.
Maybe it just, I don't know, but that didn't stick out to me. So, okay, that's interesting.
Possible that I don't even know if that's only in the uncut version as well. Like that's just a guess. because it's only I think it's only a minute longer. The uncut version is at least from what I saw on my Roku device from the different versions. It's only like an extra minute. So it would make sense that it was only like little things like that. Maybe the shot of the kid in the head. I don't know. But whatever it was, like it's possible that you just missed it. But it's also just as possible that it's in the uncut version because that's pretty graphic.
Interesting. I'll have to watch it yet again.
Yeah, there are two versions of the script for Possessor. Writer-director Cronenberg, Brandon Cronenberg, sorry, oh my God, has said there is a possibility of a second movie down the line, one that would encompass the material that didn't make it into the film. So,
good.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's like
definitely make another series out of this. I don't know if I
would franchise
would. Yeah, but I mean, I would be interested, maybe intrigued, I guess.
See, I took that as not a sequel as much as like, oh, we had these ideas we wanted to explore, but we didn't get to it.
Okay.
So, like the way that like Aronofsky originally was going to do Black Swan and The Wrestler is the same movie is the story I heard.
See, okay.
But then they broke them into two things.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's enough. That's some interesting stuff. I'm glad we got to talk about the penis.
Yeah. Thanks, intern.
Yeah. Thank you, intern. Mystery intern. Good work. Let's go ahead and talk about Cooter of the Week.
Too jolly. You normally tell us to go hunting. That's what we're doing.
We're gonna go hunting. Juice.
You think this is a fucking game?
Yes, I do.
Strap up, boys.
Strap up with your strap on. What the hell is a cooter? And why are we hunting them?
It's my boy Dick.
On your Sea-Doo vibes. All right, boys. Cooter is a character type. Straight chillin' excluse. Cooter has to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a Cooter, and we want the one with the most points. We're going to catch the Cooter of the Week. So the 5 points are manipulation, sexual deviance, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, we might have some candidates this week. Who wants to nominate?
Maybe.
Who wants to bring someone into Cooter court?
Well, I know this guy won't win. I don't think so. I just don't think there's enough evidence, hard evidence of his bullshit. I mean, maybe there is. Prove me wrong. But I just want to call out Sean Bean as being the ultimate smug arrogance motherfucker.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. He's high on the arrogance. I would say there's some manipulation.
I think that's arguable. Yeah, he's
into, because even though like the job, they discuss how he is kind of like a sadist, they say, but when they're all sitting around doing coke, like he gives her boyfriend this job to work for him, but he gives him like the shittiest job essentially to like humiliate him and to make his life miserable and shit like that. So that definitely seems like manipulation.
Yeah, is pettiness. Yeah, I mean, it's at least pettiness, and it's definitely like, is passive aggressiveness considered manipulation? I guess it's a little gray
in this
area
situation. I would say yeah,
because it's definitely like it's not just like a snide remark. It's a few of those, but it's also like, why don't you work for me? You can be tank wipe.
So he hits smug arrogance and manipulation. He's looking pretty fly from what I believe, so I don't think we could give him a tire.
No, definitely not.
Sexual deviance is not really on the table. We don't know his sexual proclivities at all based on what we saw.
He does not seem pathetic. I don't think so.
I don't think he's
petty as fuck,
very self-aggrandized.
Not pathetic.
Yeah. All right. So no Cooter there.
Yeah, his Cooter attributes. He's Cooter adjacent, but he's not a Cooter.
Throw a Girder out there. You know,
Girder.
Yeah, she is.
Is that the boss?
That's the boss. Yeah,
it's Ventress.
Okay. Yeah, Randy's fucking.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That's all I can think.
Very manipulative for sure.
Very.
I would say she's definitely got the smug arrogance locked down too. I don't know,
man.
The attire's not there. She looks like a normal person, I think. Sexual deviance,
unclear.
Unclear. I don't know. Patheticness. Yeah. I would say she's pathetic because she takes over the mind of a child to actually get her employee get her employee. I think that's out of more there to complete the task, which is fucked up.
To me, that speaks more to bloodthirstiness, or just Machiavellian ends justify the means, tactical thinking than it does to any sort of patheticness. It's not like if your philosophy is "fuck you, got mine," then you will do anything to get yours, and that's what I feel like she's doing. I don't know. She is they say at the beginning of this movie that Ventress is like getting old. She's tired of the rigmarole. She want whatever. And Tasvas she's like, I want you to take over the job. And this whole scheme is to remove, her humanity, which implies that Ventress's humanity is gone, which is why she's able to do this job. So, I mean, I don't think that you can really say that's pathetic. So it's sad and it's fucked up, but I don't know if it's pathetic.
Sacrifice.
I mean, she gets what she wants.
It's I don't know. I guess it can be argued one way or the other. So that's maybe a 2.5, which isn't going to get you there. So,
all right.
Anybody else?
Let's talk about old Voss. Right. I want to nominate Voss.
Yeah.
So Voss, I think there's a little bit of sexual deviance there. I would argue that taking over somebody's body and like having sex with them, like that's deviant.
That's rape. That's rape. You're fucking somebody under false pretenses.
I'm gonna give the old sexual deviance for that one.
It does also seem like she enjoys it more when she is not herself, because we see a situation where she's having sex as herself and just thinks about murder, which is
she doesn't like herself. She doesn't have a whole lot in her life that she cares about.
Body. So. Yeah, when she's in her own body, she does nothing with sex. But when she's with somebody else, she like really seems to get into it, and it's like kind of got a violent element to it, which seems to only encourage her more. So
she's definitely bloodlusty. She gets off on the blood. We see that point blank right at the beginning of this movie. And also, I would argue that all of that is pretty pathetic because she can't live in her own skin. So she does the Dennis Reynolds thing and gets off by being other people. So I think that's fucking pathetic, personally.
Yeah, I can see pathetic. Yeah, because like when her own... No, well, I would even give more. I think a more pathetic moment. I mean, it's sad, pathetic, but is when she can't even. She's lost herself so much that she has to practice saying like basic sentences,
that's true too.
Like "I'm starving" or "I'm famished" or whatever for like an hour, standing outside the house of like your family. Or it's not like she's meeting people for the first. It's like this her husband and son. Like that's pretty pathetic. I mean, it's sad, pathetic, but definitely pathetic.
I think there's a number of ways you could point out to her as pathetic. Sexual deviance, I agree with. Smug arrogance, I think a little, just in terms of, but I think it's really more of her trying to, like, I was going to argue that she is a little bit smug in that she's like, oh, I don't need the break after all. I'm just going to go back. But it's also really more of a reaction to her not getting anything out of being with her family like she was thinking she would.
Yeah.
She also has like a little smug exchange with one of the other doctors who's like, make sure you pull the trigger next time. And they kind of have like a little power, like I'm the specialist here. Don't you tell me or whatever. But I mean, it was small. It was small.
Yeah. Look and attire, tough to say. I mean, like her normal look is pretty normal. And when she's in another person's body, I guess you could call that a weird look, but I don't know. I don't think it really qualifies the way that we think of it.
I don't think so.
And then manipulation.
Definitely. Her job is
manipulation. Yeah. Like her whole thing is, like get in with the daughter, like act a certain way, make a fight with this guy to make it public. I mean, you're right. That's exactly what she does, which is funny that she's so unsure of herself outside of her or inside her own body. It's only when she is able to escape. It's like wearing a mask or whatever, like where people say, oh, you can be free when you like wear a mask and nobody knows it's actually you. Like in her own skin, that adds to the pathetic nature. Is like she's very subdued. She's very like got this meek kind of manner, I guess. So yeah, that's a weird dichotomy there.
Yeah, I don't like it.
So we got Voss. We booking Voss?
I think Voss.
Right.
Yeah.
Voss. I think Voss is our Cooter.
It's most convincing of the ones presented.
Yeah. Right. I feel like any of those characters with enough material would be a Cooter, but she's definitely got it.
Yeah. We nailed her with our signature Sea-Doo vibes.
It's my boy Dick.
Out of here with the fucking Sea-Doo vibes. Straight Chilling brought to you by Sea-Doo Vibes. Get you wetter than the ocean.
We nail our cooters with Sea-Doo vibes.
When you're on a long business trip and you want to feel the waves of the ocean, hop on your Sea-Doo vibe.
You're exhausted from a long day of murdering strangers in somebody else's body. Go ahead and vibe out with Sea-Doo Vibes.
Ride the dolphin.
When you're wearing another man's skin.
Ride the dolphin. That's fantastic. Get your
Man, we got a whole pitch here.
Yeah, we do. Let's go on Shark Tank.
Release your inner killer whale with Sea-Doo Vibes.
I know. So you might be interested in this Sea-Doo vibe that makes you feel like you're in the ocean.
Can't wait till we finally get a cease and desist from Sea-Doo.
Is it just going to be the word "sea don't"? I hope.
Oh God!
That. Yeah. Maybe so. All right. Let's go ahead and get into the social hour. We got to let our hair down. We're talking about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randy, what you been watching?
Oh boy. I haven't been watching a whole lot of horror, but I have watched quite a bit of HBO crime and true crime adjacent stuff. Finished The Undoing, which I mentioned before, the Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant deal. It's a miniseries, which I wasn't sure if it was a full series or not. It is a miniseries, and I would say it's worth a watch, but it kind of farts out at the end a little bit.
Oh.
It's not bad. I don't want to. That's more cruel than I meant. It just wasn't. It just wasn't as satisfactory at the ending as I was hoping for. Still, I think worth a watch. It's still like just really good display of acting. It's the writing that falls maybe a little bit short, and it's adapted from a novel. So what can you do to some extent? I also watched I'm watching a documentary called Murder on Middle Beach, I believe it's called, on HBO, which I believe the last episode's coming out right now as we're recording this. And that's about a woman who was murdered in her front lawn. And like every episode basically is, well, yeah, this person definitely did it. It's that thing where it's like it tricks you every episode. It's like, well, yeah, this person is definitely the one. Oh, no, this guy did it. It's just fucking, it's really like, I can't believe I fall into that trap so fucking much. It's a fucking pain. I should learn my lesson. But it is good to watch. It's it's directed and created by the son of the victim. And it's very much about his relationship with his family as much as it is about the implications of the murder and everything. Damn. So it's really interesting. Suburban mom gets murked. It's sad. Let's see. I also watched a documentary called Baby God, which is a film-length documentary about a man in the 60s, a OBGYN who delivered babies in Las Vegas and who inseminated countless women without their knowledge.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like when they
with
came in for
semen?
Yes, when he would mix it up in cocktails with some of the husbands, so he says. And then some women just were there to get like a pap smear or some shit and just would walk out pregnant. And they found each other. All the kids found each other with Ancestry.com and shit. And there's a lot more coming out of the woodwork.
Terrible.
And apparently it's not that uncommon for that to have happened back then. But the people, for the most part, knew what they were like. They were asking for help with fertility. And they're asking for donations from somebody. They weren't taken by surprise to realize that their father wasn't their real father.
Oh my
years
God.
later.
What
really
is wrong with people?
I don't know.
They get stomped into the damn ground.
Yeah, it's really dark. Also watched some Always Sunny Christmas. Watched a new one of the episodes of the new Big Mouth. Very funny, of course. And finally picked up Borderlands again and played the Glutton Gulch Thanksgiving bit.
Oh, nice. Went back to it, huh?
Yeah, I hadn't played through that bit, and I was definitely fucking out of practice. But it was fun, you know, and it was nice and short, except for the one mission where you have to listen to Grandma's story, which I was doing kind of like passively, and then I was like, oh shit, they're quizzing me.
You actually have to do it. Yeah, that's just pretty funny.
Yeah.
There's like a short version, and then there's a long version.
Oh,
There's
really?
2 missions where you listen to Grandma.
Oh yeah, I'm on mission 2. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore tonight.
Have you?
I got it wrong the first time.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had to go
did
back.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Don't forget the Christmas one too. It's Marcus's Mercenary Day.
Yeah, I'm intending to do that. It's just got to find the time. Other than that, watched the new series Holiday Movies That Made Us. I titled it. I still fucking hate. I hate the name Movies.
Yeah,
That
I hate that too.
That bothers me
God,
too.
It's like, you are a person. Have some dignity.
Yeah.
You are not made
I don't
by
know
media.
though, man. Some people are.
Some people are. Some people are living Funko Pops. I swear to God.
Yeah, actually, more than I'm happy to admit.
Yeah, but it just upsets me. But the show itself, it's not the best, but it is kind of interesting to see some of the stuff. Saw information about Elf, the Jon Favreau, Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah,
and Nightmare on Elm Street, or not Nightmare, excuse me, Nightmare Before Christmas, which was a way more chaotic behind the scenes story than I expected. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. Whew, got it.
Nice. Juice, what you been watching?
I did just watched Silent Night, Deadly Night Deuce for the feature on Horrorphoria, and I had watched it. We watched it 3 years ago. And so it had been a while. Man, that movie, it's still just as ridiculous. Man, 45 minutes worth of new footage.
Rough.
8 minutes of credits. Oh my God.
Christmas Eve is the scariest damn night of the year.
But it was
that
still pretty
shit.
fun.
too.
It was still pretty fun to watch though. It's got some value in its entertainment of just how I watched that. I also watched the Netflix miniseries, The Queen's Gambit, and I burned through it all in like a week.
I heard that's
And
great.
I really enjoyed it. Damn, man. Fucking, what's her name?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy, man. She is a fantastic actress. Like, I'm so glad that she is like rooted in horror so much, because I mean, this has nothing to do with horror. It's about chess. But man, she is just amazing. She really is just like mesmerizing. She kills it. And it's like it's got a really cool vibe. It's just a good story, and they play it off almost like it's based on a true story, because they root it in like the 60s, and it's just about this woman who plays chess. She comes up as an orphan, and she just like rises up the ranks. And it's just really enjoyable to watch people playing chess. Like, I mean, if you're able to make that very engaging and interesting, I mean, they're like everyone
around here, that means big
everyone
money.
did a fantastic job. It's actually a completely fictional story though. Like, it's not based on a real woman. Yeah. But the way they play it off. Yeah, I think everybody does. I mean, the way they play it off, it's like really straight and serious, and like they give these people names and like different backgrounds in chess. But no, it's a fictional story. So, but it was really good. I really enjoyed watching it. And let's see, we all got our 2020 wrapped up from Spotify. So it's fun to all exchange our top genres, our top songs, our top artists. That's something we've been doing on Slack. Randy didn't know what a couple of the genres were. Old man Randy over there.
Yeah, man. Genres suck. Fuck genres.
Yeah, it was fun to see everybody's like where everybody's been listening to this year and stuff. So all very different, but it was fun to exchange it on Slack. If you want to hop on Slack and exchange your music, hit us up. But yeah, that's about all I've been watching this week, I think. Robert,
What you watch?
Yo, not a whole heck of a lot, man. I started Bob's Burgers from the top, so I just kind of working
weird.
through some
Actually,
Bob's Burgers.
I've been doing that too.
Oh, really?
how many seasons? How many seasons
it's a
they got
rewatch.
now?
10?
Oh, it's
Are
like
they
8 or more.
Yeah.
Is it? Are they still going?
Yeah.
They still going?
Oh
think
yeah, they're
so,
still
yeah.
going. I think.
Good. Okay. I
There's
haven't
a lot.
watched in a hot minute.
So I've been working through that, almost done with season 1 again. And then I threw on Silent Night.
11.
God, yeah, there's a lot. I threw on Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1 this evening because 'tis the season and the movie slaps.
Of course.
So time for a revisit. That's really all I've been watching, though. Hadn't been a whole lot.
Santa must be stopped at every opportunity.
Had every opportunity. That crazy ass old man just fucking that
Mr.
kid,
Peabody?
fucking that kid over. Yeah, you see Santa tonight, you better run. I love that performance.
I love that too. He is Mr. Peabody, the pine tree guru in Back to the Future. Do you remember that? Who that's where Marty drives up and tears down his pines.
I did not know that. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I realized that not too long ago when I rewatched Back to the Future. I was like, oh shit, it's Grandpa.
It was the two Pines Mall or two whatever. It's
the Twin Pines, and then it became Lone Pines.
Lone Pine. Yeah. Fuck yeah, that is awesome. Good bit of trivia.
Old man Peabody.
It's pine for him. So yeah, that's really all I've been watching. Not a whole lot. We got one more segment to get into this evening. We're jumping into our Hotline Scream segment. If you are listening and like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We've got... Do we have 5? Did we get another voicemail?
We got 5.
All right. So we got 5 to work through this evening. I believe first up, we're going to hear from Kyle. Let's hear what Kyle has to say.
Hey guys, it's Kyle Ray. I'll pop up twice this year, but third time's not for free. You're gonna have to go to my what do they call it, fans only or whatever, where you pay me to get nude. But anywho, I just fucking A. I was following up because I was disappointed. I thought I put Juice in cardiac arrest when I gave him my Blumpkin speech, which is I think it's on Blade, or the Blade trilogy rather. I'm not going to repeat the story because it's long-winded, and I mean, frankly, I don't know. It's an age-appropriate, it's for all ages kind of show, and I respect the young viewers. But if you want to listen to it, go back to Blade 3 or 2 or 1 or Wesley Snipes before he had fucking tax evasion problems. Anyway, have a great holiday. I got I don't know when this is gonna fucking air, or if this is gonna air. This might just be a stupid message, but anyway, Bob, I hope you enjoyed the Goose Island, Bourbon County. I hope it gets you silly. Drink it on the podcast. I hope you don't remember your name by the end of it. And for the love of God, Terrorvision. We got Ghost. How do we not get Terrorvision? It's a Muppet that kills people from outer space due to, I think, the workings of cable TV in 1985 or whatever the fuck. Anyway. Keep chilling. Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure being a fan for as long as I have. What are we on, year 5? Something like that? I don't know. Well, yeah. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Yeah, see, that's the problem right there. Is people may not believe this, blackout drunk on the Blade
trilogy.
So I have no doubt that I thought that show was hilarious, but I legit don't remember recording the back half of that entire episode.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember anything.
I don't remember the story, and I apologize. I intended to go back and listen to it.
We'll go back and listen. I legit was too drunk to remember any of it.
Any sort of Blumpkin story is bound to be hilarious. So thank you for sharing that. Also, apparently I've got some beer in the mail, and I'm looking forward to it. And I will drink it on the show. Thank you for sending that. Yeah,
Goose Island bourbon. What?
Some sort of beer. I don't know. I never had it.
Careful, Bob. It might be laced. Our fans might be trying to take advantage of you.
It's Kyle. Kyle has poisoned me. That's how
Rob,
I died.
are you feeling suicidal?
No.
Okay, there you go.
Not at all.
Bob.
That's for the record.
Drinking male beer.
Male beer. It won't even be cold. I won't put it in the fridge. I won't.
It's just a bunch of shattered glasses. Shattered yes.
It's so good.
It's so
kind of sharp.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Terrorvision.
Yeah, we'll see. Only time will tell.
I didn't remember the Muppets being involved, but
it's like the Muppets aren't involved anyway.
They should be.
It's a Muppet-like creature, I guess. Next up, I think we're gonna hear from Kelvin. See what he has to say.
What's up, guys? This is Street Chillin' Mailman calling once again. I don't dig the do that Mia Farrow was rocking in that movie, that shortcut. Not a personal preference of mine. My style is more long hair. I'm a big long hair aficionado. Yeah, $100 that night, making this extra bread. Started at 6 today. Did a parcel run in the morning. Yep. The life of a carrier. All right. Anyways, keep chilling. $100 that night. Rigatoni and the hell ye. Peace. Keep chilling.
I love speech to text. I'm a big long hair fishing idol.
Damn.
That's pretty good.
Oh my lord.
I don't know. Y'all hating on the short hair. I'm here for it. I'm here for the short hair.
Thanks, Kelvin, for the support.
Yeah, this is the debate of our ages.
Here.
Yeah, oh yeah. Nobody's suffered more than you.
I was left out to dry. Thanks, Kelvin.
Nobody has been treated as unfairly as Soju. Nobody. No
podcast host in the history of podcasts has ever been treated more unfairly.
Right. Justin is the bigliest podcast host that has ever podcast hosted.
Oh man, what are we talking about?
Wow,
nothing, obviously.
Yeah,
typical.
Thanks for calling, Kelvin. Thanks for delivering our mail or being a parcel carrier, delivering packages.
Thanks
on
for being
Sundays.
A carrier. Yeah, that's a dangerous thing to be around COVID times. What you carrying, dog?
Oh shit. Yeah, Kelvin, you're the real Santa. You're the real Santa. Thanks.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for doing what you do. Next up, we're gonna hear from Cole. See what he has to say.
Hey guys, it's your courteous Canadian caller Cole here. Just wanted to call and let you guys know. I don't think there's been any doubt, really, that it was always 69 dudes in one night. You know, and I'm sure more people would agree with me than not. And then whether you think that's a lot of guys or not, I guess that's up to you. No king shaming. But and then as for Rosemary's Baby, I'm thinking she's looking pretty nice. So I would totally take her out to like a nice Applebee's, Montana's, you know. Maybe walk her to her doorstep thinking maybe she'll let me inside. Maybe she'll kiss me goodnight here. So yeah, no king shaming 69 dudes, no king shaming haircuts. All right. Thanks, guys.
There you go.
Thanks, Cole. Solidarity. I like it.
He would have the decency not to take her out to a Beef O'Brady's, I'm sure.
That's right. Or to a Juicy Lucy's.
Oh God.
She deserves better.
Speech to text is absolutely nailing it this week. Here's a choice quote. I guess that's up to you, you know, King King Shannon.
No
and
King
also later. So yeah, no king shaping 69 dudes. I fucking love this.
No King Shannons. So won't have them.
No King Shannons.
Won't have them.
I don't think there's ever been a King Shannon in the history of kings. So that rings true.
Maybe.
Michael Shannon is king. You dropped this king.
He's Randy's king, that's for sure.
He's my king.
No king shaming.
That face looks like it was carved out of wood.
Cool.
That's what I'm into. No King Shannon. Come on.
Randy
Don't King Shannon me.
Randy with the hotcakes.
All right. Thanks for calling, Cole. Thanks for setting everybody straight on the haircut / how many dudes you can consume safely in one night. I appreciate that. Next up, we're going to hear from Michael. Let's hear what Michael has to say.
Kind of move the goalposts on that 69 dudes question there.
That's right.
All right, here we go. Michael.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Michael at the Horror Apocalypse Show. I was just calling. I just finished your Rosemary's Baby episode, and I'm a big fan of the movie myself, but I'm calling because of the prompt. Randy wanted to prompt to find out how we felt about the Vidal Sassoon hairstyle, and I'm calling in to respond to that. I'm going to have to side with Justin on this one. I am not a fan of really short hair. I don't think it worked for her. That's my own personal choice, though. I mean, I'm not going to cut my hair like that. I don't find it really attractive. The only person I've seen pull it off is Jacqueline. I think she pulled out. She was adorable with it. Mia, not so much. So, me personally, not a fan. And for the rest of the Slack channel and everybody else that got the picks this time that beat me to it, for one, guys, you're welcome that I caused such a stir to make everybody rush to buy it. And two, I thought we all agreed we were going to give you guys some shitty movies, man. And here we are getting great ones that you guys are loving. Where's the torture? I just, looks like it's time for me to clock out. So never mind. I'm done. See you guys later. Bye.
Oh, wait. He called once more.
That's two for juice.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow. Colin,
Yeah, man.
on the clock. I appreciate it, kind of, I guess. Sticking it to the man somewhat, in a way.
Yeah, and don't forget, we have proof now, Michael. So if you give us another bad pick, we're sending all of these voicemails where you're calling us from work to your boss. So if you don't want to lose your job,
Shit. Oh,
good
shit.
pick.
Wow. Justin's Breaking Bad over here.
Blackmail. That's how we roll it, straight chilling.
Yeah.
Blackmail stain.
Kind of our
Not
thing.
above it.
That's right.
Also, we are now blackmailable by saying that on our same show. But
I'd like to,
whatever.
I'd like to quote Jim G. Baby and say, fuck around and find out.
Ooh,
Yo.
we look. There's nothing you could do to tear down my willpower after I've seen Mixed Up Zombies. You just can't do it. I could watch
true.
anything. I could watch
It
anything.
feels that way. It does indeed. We've seen the worst for sure. So, Michael, I don't know what else you got. It can't be.
Also,
any
we
worse.
appreciate. Thanks for some non-vindictive picks, everybody. That's
Yeah.
why you're the faves.
Yeah, we had some hot ones this time, man.
Pretty
This has
good.
been a good
Good
streak.
picks.
Yeah.
If you guys want to, by the way, for those who have no idea what we're talking about, as you probably haven't this whole episode, we do quarterly You Pick the Flick tiers on our Patreon, valued at $15 American.
Yeah,
So-
and that's actually going to be opening up soon again.
The new next quarter, the first quarter.
We need to decide that soon, but like in the next week or two, that will be reopening for sure. Yeah.
The moon wanes and time runs short.
More to come.
Last time it literally went in under a minute.
Yeah, yes, it did.
All 5 picks were
Literally.
gone.
We might have to
in
drop it
less than
randomly
a
this
minute.
time. We might have to
Yeah.
drop a random time a day.
Whoa.
Try and even it out.
Moving target, bish.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a lot of solid picks. Even the ones that we didn't necessarily love this quarter were at least they were all interesting at the very least. So yeah. Thanks guys for your picks and your support. We love it.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We do have one more voicemail to get to. Wes, I believe Wes called in. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hey guys, it's Wes. I forgot to call in, so I'm doing it real quick. Hopefully I make it. I don't really have anything planned because I literally just dialed the number just 'cause. But I'm going to just say my Blu-ray falls over Black Friday holiday. So I got Magic with Anthony Hopkins. I got Behind the Mask, It Follows. I got Halloween 2018 Steelbook. I got The Strangers and The Strangers Pray at Night. I got Saw 8 film collection. It was $8. So $1 a movie I thought was good. A good deal. I got Rosemary's Baby, the Criterion one. That's my first Criterion. It was 50% off at Barnes & Noble. I got Creature from the Black Lagoon Blu-ray, It, and Salem's Lot, because I haven't seen that yet, and it was also on sale, so I thought, why not? I'll see you guys in the slide.
So
that sounds like a call for Let's Get Physical Media.
Okay, it basically is, yeah. That's a short episode of Let's Get Physical Media.
I don't know. I mean, kind of like you not planning your calls, Wes, is kind of just a call from Wes, isn't it? It's kind of redundant. Also, if there was a plan, I believe it involved your mother. I believe your mom was supposed to call us this week. Wes, come on.
He did say his mom was
You've made us promises. I want to meet that mom.
We all want to meet your mom, Wes, which is weird.
Yes.
I immediately regret that. Sorry.
No, you don't.
Sorry.
Blackmail.
Yeah,
Do you guys have a hotline scream for Let's Get Physical Media, Bob?
We haven't done that. I guess we could, though. We haven't really discussed that. But yeah, that sounds like a solid haul, man. That's awesome that you picked up Rosemary's Baby, Criterion. We just talked about it, obviously, so it's a perfect time to watch it. And yeah, that fucking half off sale at Barnes & Noble is solid. I definitely hit that up as well. They do it twice a year. I think next time is going to be like June. I think they do it like sometime in the summer. I want to say June will be the next one.
Sea-Doo time.
Yeah, Sea-Doo time.
Wes, you could have spent all of those funds on a Sea-Doo vibe instead, my guy.
Dude,
so
you could have been riding the
for
dolphin.
your butt. Riding the dolphin. Cram it in your blowhole. Sea-Doo vibes. God.
The blowhole is sold separately, friend. Okay, that's an entirely separate product for an entirely different set of people.
The Sea-Doo blowhole.
Man,
we got a whole product line lined up.
No, we do.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. This is a whole thing.
You know, it's tough times, and there's not a lot of sea-dooing going on, so you just gotta diversify.
You gotta
get into the. Gotta get into the blowhole game.
You gotta put things inside of things and see what feels right. That's 2020 for you. Here we are. That's all we got for
Bob, no.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. Oh, you stopped it. Yeah, that's all we got for Hotline Scream. If you again want to call and leave a voicemail to be featured next week, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Gentlemen, you got prompts you want to pose for next week?
All right. So if you have replaced every part on your Sea-Doo, is it still your vibe?
Important.
I burned my motor out.
I burned my motor out on the vibe.
Gotta switch it out.
I guess I'll try the blowhole for a week or two. I don't know. I'm not sold.
I blew it out.
My motor exploded inside of me.
Just wasn't enough vibe. I needed stronger vibes.
They just I turned it up to 11, but it's I got to homebrew my own vibe next time.
Good Lord.
Homebrew Sea-Doo, as we call it.
Tesla's going to come out with like a vibe, right? It's going to be like it's going to have a solar panel.
Teslas are their own sexual gratification for the people who buy them. So
it really is.
It's very much about gratifying.
Never sit in somebody else's Tesla because you know those seats are sopping wet. You just don't do it. All right, yeah, hit us up.
Suggesting meeting Wes's mom was too weird, but that's all on par. That's above board right there.
Actually, yeah, I feel that.
This is our family-friendly show, as we were told.
Also, too, next week, by the time these voicemails come out, it'll be our like Christmas episode because we're talking about rare exports.
Yeah,
so let us know. Do you have any favorite Christmas horror films?
Send Soju Claus your Christmas list, your wish list.
Yeah. But also let us know what you're watching for the Christmas horror season.
Give us something unique. Give us something from the fringes.
Yeah. The hidden gems.
Let's get
or
fringy.
the hidden slops.
Yeah. So watch Rare Exports in preparation for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. Send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on the daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets. I'll send you a link to join in on the Slack channel fun. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.